Hello everybody, this is HG Shaves here. I'm back with another video. Happy to be with you again. Happy 4th to all the Americans out there. I hope everybody has an enjoyable and safe holiday today. So let's get into the main attraction for today, which is going to be this razor right here. As you can see from the title and the intro video, hopefully this is a vintage Hoffritz Slant razor. You can see the slant in the head design there, which you can't see because this well, it's a old razor. It says down here Hoffritz, which is the brand name. And if I'm not mistaken, it does say that it was imported via New York back in the day. So as you can probably guess from the name, this is a German brand, but it appears that they used to import these razors via New York. And so these razors were available to Americans to buy, which is why you can see them for sale here in the US and also in Germany and other countries in Europe also, of course. This razor weighs in at 75 grams, which in my experience is actually quite hefty by vintage razor standards. For those of you who are familiar with the Merkur 34C design, this is the same way, and then it's got this kind of double ringed bottom. You loosen the bottom, and then the top cap comes off. It's got this long thread. And more specifically, this is very similar to the Merkur 37C, which is basically the 34C, but with a slant bar. I also wanted to mention that I'm not quite sure what the finish used to be on this razor. Given the patina that I have on a couple of old Gillettes, I might guess that this handle maybe used to be silver or something to that effect. Surprisingly, when silver gets old and not so nice, it kind of looks like this. So forgive me for not knowing about the metals. If anybody knows more history about these razors, feel free to leave me a comment and let me know. So one other thing is also the case that it came in. These were sold in a variety of cases. Not surprisingly, some were kind of the more ornate kind of metal boxes with kind of the velvety interior. This one came in a more simple leather travel case. It's worn away mostly now, but there is an emblem in the middle here that says Hoffritz. So anyway, happy to have this, even if it isn't really that functional anymore. Let's go ahead and load up the razor. We're going to be using a Wizamet Super Iridium. I believe this is use number 4 or 5 on this blade. And my only complaint with these styles of two-piece razors is I do think it's a little weird to get it over this long thread. But fortunately, this thread is shorter than the modern Merkur one. Those just feel kind of crazy when you have to hold them. So I just drop the blade in, and then as soon as I start to tighten down, the blade seems to go perfectly in place every time. So while some slants have alignment issues, vintage and modern, this one doesn't seem to be that way. I've been very impressed with the alignment on this, which is different because, again, it's kind of the same mechanism as that 34C deal, the two-piece design, but I do remember having some alignment issues at first with the 34C. So who knows? Maybe just something about this older style makes it better for alignment. I'm not sure. Anyway, there's the razor. To quickly mention the other things we'll be using today, we'll be using Summer Break Soap's Bell Ringer. You've been seeing this for a while, and we have finally come to almost the end. I was hoping to finish it today on camera, but used a couple other things this week, and so it didn't quite make it. There we go. We've got the soap worked into the lathering bowl there. And then for the brush, we're going to be using the Yaqi Rainbow 26mm synthetic. I've really grown to like this brush. It is a little bit bigger handle than I would normally use, but I find it comfortable to hold, and the knot itself is great. I venture to say that this is one of the better deals in terms of how much you pay, in terms of what you get from the Yaqi brush line, although nothing they sell is particularly expensive. I'm going to go ahead and get my face wet, load up the brush, and then I'll bring you back in when I'm about to start the face lather. All right, we got the brush shaken out mostly, and let's go ahead and start loading the soap here out of this bowl. Sorry about that sound. Unfortunately, there's some dimensions of brushes that just do not seem to work well with this bowl, and I'm trying to do my best with that. Yeah, so it has been kind of a uneventful week of shaves. I really enjoyed using this brush, and also the razor. I have known about those Hoffritz razors for some time now, because I maybe would argue that they're maybe the most famous German vintage razor maker, other than Mercure itself. And so I've heard about this for a while, and then what eventually pushed me over the edge to go and get one was I was talking with a friend who happens to be in the German-speaking part of the world, and he, commented how much he liked his, and also I was able to find this one for a reasonable deal here in the U.S. Again, I didn't realize that they used to sell these in the U.S. I was thinking I was going to have to go through Europe and have it sent, directly over from there. But actually, there are some, that you find on U.S. eBay, for example. And so I think a good price on one of these razors, an absolute bargain would be something like $20-30. But I think maybe like an average good price somewhere in the $40 to $50 range. So if you ever see one out there and you're interested in trying, that's kind of the price ranges I would say to think about. Also, of course, it depends on condition and how complete it is. For example, this one's pretty user grade, the razor itself, and also the case is kind of nothing special. But I've seen some more complete sets that were also just in better shape, and those, people were asking closer to $100, let's say, which maybe is worth it if you're a real serious collector and that thing matters to you. Okay, we've got the brush loaded with soap here. Let's go ahead and get into a face lather. It's been nice to mostly use the soap, use this soap the majority of the time over the past, I don't know, it's been a couple months, because I wasn't shaving a whole lot there for a few weeks, and so the time has kind of flown by in that way. But I will certainly finish this soap sometime this week, and then when that happens, just the possibilities will go crazy for what I could be using after that. I'm a pretty big fan of the summer break soap base. It's tallow, and it's not too complicated of a ingredients list, but I always think it's been pretty easy to work with, build up a lather with, and so ease of use is one of my most important soap qualities, I think, at this stage in the game. So if you wanted kind of a more, how should we say, just a thicker lather, maybe you would stop here. I'm going to go ahead and keep adding in water, and I'll bring you back in when I'm about to start my first pass with the Hoffritz. All right, we're all lathered up here for pass number 1. Pretty happy with how this turned out. Probably could have loaded less soap, but who cares at this point with that tub. Here we go with the Hoffritz with a Wizamet blade on its 4th use, I think. So as a reminder, for those of you who may not know or may have forgotten, the so-called marketing with these slant razors is that because of the, and if I don't get this exactly right, I apologize, but it's like because of the angle that it makes the blade cut at, it becomes a more efficient sort of cutting, supposedly more like or I should say similar to guillotine works. You don't cut straight down, you cut at an angle, so that gives you a little more efficiency. Perhaps, you know, there are some people that think that the whole slant razor thing is kind of a gimmick, and it was just marketing for these razor companies to, you know, sell you another razor that you didn't really need. And I could maybe see that. Certainly you could find a razor that would work well for you and doesn't have to be a slant. But, you know, I think some people may like the perhaps gimmicky nature of these slants, and I would call myself one of those people. You know, could I get a good shave with just a normal safety bar razor or a open comb razor? Sure. But, you know, in some ways, the slant can be kind of a good middle ground in between safety bar and open comb. You know, considering all things else equal, you might be able to find an interesting efficiency range if you took the same razor head, safety bar, slant, open comb. I mean, it depends. Maybe the slant would actually be more efficient but feel more mild. And so that's something that I'm always reminded of when I go back to using slants. Got a plane flying. So if the blade is held well, like this one is, there's not a lot of chatter, the alignment is good, it won't necessarily feel that efficient, but it might be. So that's something I had to remind myself of this razor this week. Don't push down too hard, don't use too much pressure, because it actually is cutting, you know, more than maybe it normally would. So to me, the razor is easy to use. It's easy to find the angle. Just again, I think be mindful of your pressure. And just like that, first pass done. No issues whatsoever. Very happy with that. Gonna rinse, and then I'm bringing it back in for pass number 2 in just a moment. Pass number 2. I must say, I do feel like I really nailed the lather today. The lather settled down a little bit here in between pass 1 and pass 2, and so it feels even better. Let's go with the second pass, across the grain mostly, with the Hoffritz. So I can't believe that we've made it to July. We're already, you know, this is the 4th day of July. It was just a really busy month for us in June. Certainly our busiest month in, well, you know, a long time. So we're happy that we got to do so many things in July, but we're looking forward to kind of having a easier going. Sorry, got to do so many things in June, but we're looking forward to having a simpler July. And I do hope to post some more videos this month than I did last month. just because I should have some more time, and also thanks to the people around me who are trying to keep me as interested and excited about this wonderful hobby as possible. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I still always love coming in here to shave. Just kind of started to reach a plateau with some other aspects of the hobby, and so I'm trying to figure out how I can keep going, and in a way that makes me happy, and also other people that can still keep making content, things like that. Even my wife, for our recent anniversary, she gave me a gift card to Magard Razors. She said, "Seems like you don't have enough new soaps," which, of course, if she knew how many were just sitting waiting to be used, she wouldn't say that. But anyway, she's trying her best to keep me involved. All right, second pass completed. Let's rinse and come back for that final third pass. Third and final pass. Third pass against the grain now with the Hoffritz. Last week and last weekend, got to do some cool things. Did a little traveling for work. Played up in Wisconsin. Had a wonderful time meeting some new musicians. Some of you may be surprised to know that a lot of the gigs I used to do, and I'm still doing, apparently, or what we call kind of pickup gigs, where you don't have a rehearsal prior to the performance. People just decide, the leader decides what you're going to play, and then you show up and you learn the music, and then you play it together. And in some cases, like ours, we hadn't met any of the people that we were playing with before. That's one of the cool things about our particular subgenre of music, is that a lot of it is, rather spontaneous, if not improvised. In the specific jazz context, we get to improvise a lot, but in others sort of jazz adjacent genres, it might not be as much improvising as it is just being spontaneous. That might be the better word. So that was terrific. And then also, but directly before and after that little trip, I got to meet a couple shaving buddies in the flesh. First, I saw Mike in the city. I actually had met Mike before, so it's good to see him. Shout out to you, man, if you're watching. We got to go to the local shaving store, which is locally called Mertz, M-E-R-Z Apothecary. It's been here for a long time. Online, their store is called Small Flower, and for a while there, the specific shaving section was being billed as advertised as Q Brothers, because there are two brothers that kind of were supporting it. And they did some videos like in the past 5-10 years with people like Nick Shaves. So when I mention that place to shaving people that don't live in Chicago, I always mention all the names just to make sure that all my bases are covered. And so that was the cool thing about that was, Mike has been here longer than I have, but he had never been to that store, just because of the nature of the hobby. I've been in the hobby a little bit longer. So that was fun to go check out that store. I haven't been there since the pandemic, really. So it was nice to see those people again. And then on the way back from Wisconsin, we got to meet up with somebody who goes online as Walligator, like the old cartoon. I had not met him in person before. That was the first time. And we had corresponded for years now, I think, online. And so it was really great to meet him. And if you're watching, shout out to you. The razor feels pretty consistent to me in that it's not like the with the grain pass is much better, much more controlled than the against the grain pass or across the grain. It all feels pretty comparable to me, which is good. And again, especially when you're doing these pickups like this, touch-ups, just very light. Be as light as you can. Great, and that'll do it. Very close shave. I was talking to you all and was able to achieve a nice shave, so we're happy with that. I'm gonna do my final rinse and then come back and bring you in for a very quick post-shave and recap, so be right back. For post-shave today, as usual, Chatillon Looks Unscented Toner. This stuff is just really terrific, and it's unfortunate that he's not making it at the moment. If you all have it, I would just remind you that he recommends that you use just a few drops, a few dousings of it. And I'll remind you again that because it is toner, doesn't have any alcohol in it, it really doesn't do you much good to put on a bunch because it's not as quick to absorb as if it had alcohol. Then with alcohol, you could go a little bit more crazy if you wanted. Yeah, so I like this toner a lot because it doesn't leave me feeling kind of oily or greasy. And I also just like it's unscented and more suited for these warmer summer months than something like a balm. So there we go, Chatillon Looks Unscented Toner. All right, quick rundown. We use the Yaqi 26 millimeter rainbow synthetic. I forget if that's the actual name or if I'm just making that up. Silver Rake Soaps Bell Ringer. I'll probably finish this off camera, so bye-bye. It's been a good run with the soap for sure. And then finally, the vintage Hoffritz Slant. I could definitely recommend this razor as if you were interested in trying a slant for the first time. I don't see anything wrong with starting with this one. It's not too aggressive, it's not too mild, it's not finicky with the blade. And again, to me, it is very reminiscent of the 37C by Merkur. But if you don't want to go with something modern, you rather something vintage, then again, I could definitely recommend this razor. And it's been a great week of shaves, so no complaints here. All right, everybody, thank you all so much for watching. Feel free to leave any comments or questions you have down below. Thank you for your continued support. And this has been HG Shaves. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.